Good evening, students. So we are back with our revision from which chapter? Heredity and evolution, right? We started with our revision from our chapter Heredity and evolution, and you know that this time you are in your CBSE exam from and no question is going to be asked from evolution, so it means we have to only talk about heredity. Okay, so now today we will see that how are characters transferred. We yesterday we talked about characters or traits, but today we will see that how these traits or how these characters they are transferred to offsprings. And now, is there any explanation you need for this? No. Characters or traits, you know who is carrying these characters or transfer traits. The most important molecule in our body, that is DNA, or I will say most important molecule of our cell, that is DNA. So characters and traits, they are transferred through DNA molecule. Where will you find these DNA molecules? There are specific things present on these DNA molecule which are called genes, and genes they are present on your chromosomes. So characters they are present in the gene on the chromosomes, and these chromosomes they are present in the nucleus of cell. Very easy, that characters they are present or located on our gene, and these genes they are located on chromosome, and chromosomes they are located in nucleus of the cell. So if we say that who is or how is characters they are inherited, then these characters they are transferred from the genes which are carried by your DNA molecules. So now we know that in the sexual reproduction two individuals are involved, so it means both father and mother they are responsible for the contribution of equal amount of this genetic material into the चाइल्ड. ऐसा नहीं है कि फादर में से हाफ आ रहा है, ज़्यादा आ रहा है और मदर में से कम आ रहा है. नो, दे बोथ आर equally contributors for the transfer of genes for the characters into the child. So each trait, how many factors they are included? It means height is a trait. Now you will say that only height has if height is a trait, it will have gene. So suppose I am taking gene T. T is a gene, right? Now do you think that only this single T will work? No, this copy is coming from the father. What about mother? What about mother? So there will be one copy that is coming from the mother. So every trait, there are how many factors or how many total genes? Two. One is coming from, gene will be one basically, their copies will be two. One copy will be from the mother and second copy will be from the father. That is what I have written here. Two copies, one from the father, one from the mother. So what are these genes? This is the main unit of your DNA. So जब हम DNA ड्रॉ करते हैं तो DNA के ऊपर जो मेन चीज़ है जिसकी वजह से DNA इतना इम्पॉर्टेंट है, that is gene. So gene is a main unit of DNA on a chromosome, which is responsible to transfer characteristics from parent to offspring. That is the reason we say it is not DNA, it is the genes which are so important, which are present on the DNA, and this gene is for every character, bacha, every character. Either it is about your height, or it is about your skin color, or it is about your earlobe, or it is about your shape of the chin. It is for all the traits. So that is why we say it is a unit of inheritance or heredity. Now, same character, suppose same character अगर हम लेते हैं, suppose we are taking here height. I'm taking here height. Now to control this trait, to control this same character which is height, in organism there the genes will be of how many types? Two types. One will be dominant, other can be recessive, or can you find out another situation? Both genes can be dominant, both genes can be recessive. One can be dominant, other can be recessive, but there will be one gene which will be dominant, or there is always another second form of that gene which will be recessive. Who is dominant? Who is recessive? The gene which is expressing, which get expressed, जिसकी वजह से suppose your height is tall. Okay, so it doesn't mean that from your father T has come and from your mother also T has come. What are the chances that if your father has given T, which is responsible for the tall height, it can be possible that your mother has given you small t. And in your children, when you will get married, then in your children, one of the children, it is possible if your wife is having this recessive gene, then if they both come together, then the child will be short height. So basically, dominant gene is the one which is expressing in the child. That gene which is getting expressed. जो चीज़ की वजह से आपकी हाइट नज़र आ रही है, जो अपने आप को एक्सप्रेस कर रही है बाहर से, जिसको आप देख सकते हो, दैट इज कॉल्ड डोमिनेंट gene. The recessive gene, usually many students they just only know that gene which is not expressed bacha, but this is not the correct also na. Sometimes this recessive gene also express. When, during what time it express? When two recessive genes. Now why I have written T, small t, because this is dominant. So when two recessive genes they come together, then this recessive gene will express. But if this recessive gene is present in the company of dominant gene, तो ये कभी express नहीं करेगी. So that is why usually we say the gene which is not expressed, or it decides the appearance of organism only and only in the presence of its sister copy. Why I am calling it as a sister copy? Because only अगर small t आएगा साथ में, only then it will be happy, and when this will be happy, it will express. But it doesn't feel happy with the dominant gene. So when it does not feel happy, it does not express. So gene which get expressed, that is dominant. The gene which is usually not expressed when it is present alone with the dominant, that is recessive. But to make it happy, you need two recessive genes. Fine. Rules to show dominant and recessive gene, bache. Dominant gene we always represent with the capital letter. Suppose our trait is height. Now height can be tall, height can be dwarf. So if tall is, usually tall is our dominant trait, so we will represent it with capital letter. Recessive gene, we will use same letter but smaller form, that is small t. Next few terms, genotype and phenotype. ये बहुत confuse करता है आप लोगों को. I don't know why. See, genotype बच्चा, इसको तोड़ो. Genes, it means that expression, वो लिखना है आपको, that description which give us knowledge about the genes, that which kind of genes are present in an organism. Phenotype में कुछ मेहनत नहीं है. Those characteristic which are visible in an organism, जिसको आप बाहर से देख के बता सकते हो कि this person is tall, this person is short, this person is medium in the height. Those are phenotypic. But when we talk about the genes, suppose TT, small t, capital T, small t, this is called genotype. Now, so simple example to explain genotype. So tall, I have just written tall and dwarf. So is this expression for genotype, or I want to show you phenotype? This is showing me, this is what is this is showing to me. This is showing phenotypic expression, that either the individual is tall or it is dwarf, which you can say from the outer experience, right? But can you represent this tall and dwarf in the form of genes, in the form of genotype? Suppose in your exam you are given with tall and dwarf. You know that tall is dominant. How you will represent it genotypically? I will use, what will I use? I will use capital letter. But only one will work. Simple काम हो जाएगा हमारा, simple capital लिख के हो गया. Is this correct? This is wrong. You cannot represent genotype like this. No. What is wrong? We always write them in the pairs, because copies are coming from two individuals. And to show dwarf, which genotype? TT. Suppose I have to mention round seeds. Round and wrinkled seeds. What should be the genotype? Capital R, capital R. For wrinkle, small r, right? So Mendel was the first scientist who who gave us the idea, who did systematic study, and who study about the different pattern of inheritance. He actually told us that how these characters, they are transferred from parents to offspring. He chose pea plant, he chose Pisum sativum for the following reason. First thing, there were lots of traits. You know that there are 7 traits, and these which show variations, right? So basically किसी भी चीज़ को if you want to study, then there should be some variation. सेम चीज़, अगर सेम ही चीज़ है, सारे प्लांट्स ग्रीन है, तो क्या स्टडी करोगे उसमें? सो दिस वॉज द प्लांट इन विच 7 कैरेक्टर्स वर एब्सोल्युटली डिफरेंट. इफ वन प्लांट वॉज शोइंग टॉल, अदर वॉज ड्वार्फ, वन सीड कलर वॉज ग्रीन, अदर वॉज येलो. सो इट वॉज वेरी इंटरेस्टिंग टू work on this, that how this tall, how this dwarf, they are coming from parents. So he chose pea plant because in this characters they show variations. Second reason was this plant was very easy to understand, because in this you don't need to wait for cross pollination. Pea plant is easily self-pollinating also. So that was also positive point for us. So then another, it can easy to handle and can be grown easily, right? That is why he chose pea plant for the study. Then there is another few terms, F1 generation and F2 generation. Why I'm telling you about all these genotype, phenotype, because this is going to help you to solve your questions. See, when I am writing that parents, when two parents are crossed to produce offsprings, then these offsprings are F1 generation. But when F1 generation is self cross, मतलब हमारे पास जो F1 में आया, हमने उसी को उन्हीं प्लांट से आपस में क्रॉस करा दिया. We did not take parents here. parents, they were taken initially to get F1 generation, but when F1 generation plants, they were cross among themselves. Suppose मेरे पास parents थे TT into TT and I got first generation TT. What will I do? Now I cross them, self cross बोलते हैं हम उसको, आपस में ही cross करा दिया. Now I will get F2 generation. So first generation is through the parents, second generation is through the selfing, and this generation, the offsprings from this generation is known as second generation. So in the next we will talk about monohybrid and dihybrid cross, right? We will revise these crosses once again.